Michael,
Hey Ricky, how you doing?
I am doing fantastic, sir. How are you?
I'm okay. Just kind of had a rough couple of days.
I'm sorry. How so?
Well, I I ate a kid's meal at McDonald's yesterday,
Okay.
but his mom got really mad, so that didn't go very well. Um,
Anything else happen?
well, and then at church, I accidentally drank holy water with my laxatives, so I felt like I started a religious movement.
Oh, it's the Speaking Nerdy podcast with your host, Mr. Mike Schilling.
And my good friend and compadre, Mr. Ricky Poe. Religious movement.
I knew that's where we were going when you said holy water with your laxative.
That's nice. Kind of dark today, right? I don't know what my deal is.
I don't
It's because
know.
is it because I'm like, sympathizing for the dark side tonight? I don't know.
I maybe are you
I don't know.
the spy for Moff Gideon?
Well, I mean, the spy actually got away with it, but um, man, this is so. Of course, the last episode from
Yep.
this broadcast was, I guess Wednesday, which is, by this time everybody's done talking about it. But
Yeah,
for
I know.
us, we we're committed to the very end.
Yes.
No matter how irrelevant it is by now.
We said this is
So,
what we're doing, and we're
this is what
gonna
we're
do
going to
it.
do. But who cares? We have not talked about it yet, and that's really what's important. So,
Plus, we
uh,
will talk about it in a way that no one else will, because most of them know better than we do.
exactly. And I think that's a good thing. I think that's a good thing. People get to see it from our level of intelligence.
Yes, absolutely.
So, yeah, I guess as we're, I think tonight we're gonna like eat, and then we'll get into that in a little bit. But
Yep.
you have any like nerdy news,
I
anything that's kind of
a
pipe,
couple of things. A couple of things. I like box office numbers.
Yes, you
So
do.
Super Mario Brothers took the box office for a third week.
That's
Um,
amazing to me.
yeah, $58 million this weekend, taking first place. About almost double any other movie this weekend, and no other movies that I think our crew would actually be interested in came out this week.
Yeah,
So, but that does give the Super Mario Brothers movie almost $450 million domestically, and over over 870 million worldwide.
that's
That
insane.
that puts it not just the highest grossing video game based film, but that's nearly double its closest competitor. And its closest competitor was Detective Pikachu
Oh, okay.
at like half that amount. And it officially puts it at number 79 of the highest all-time grossing films of any genre, before you adjust for inflation.
That's fascinating.
Yeah. What did I say? 79th. I don't know what I said. 79th highest. But that's
79th
still
highest,
for a video game movie to be in
which they never do well.
to
Yeah,
crack the top 100 is pretty impressive. But so that's a thing. Let's see.
it's
Not,
interesting because some of these video games movies do not do well at all. But I think it has to do with if they get away from some of these other real time adaptations of it. Like,
Mm,
except for Sonic Hedgehog, that was really, I mean, that I was
yeah.
surprised how well that came up, and then Pikachu Detective, and now this. And anyway, I'm in the wrong business.
I definitely. Well, and you know about Star Wars Acolyte, correct?
Yes, yes, I do.
Okay. So there was a teaser at Celebration a few weeks ago, and I've been reading a little bit up on it, and from what I'm hearing, this is going to involve a lot of different Jedi. So it's going to be more than just a one person show, and
Gotcha.
it's going to focus on kind of that idea of who's allowed to use the Force rather than a Jedi versus Sith kind of thing. So that's
Oh,
kind of an
really?
interesting take.
Huh.
And then Leslie Headland said this is how she originally pitched the film. She said it's Frozen meets Kill Bill.
That's odd. I can't. I read that too, and I don't understand. I can't imagine the comparison. I mean,
I don't understand. All I can think of is okay, she has powers, but she's being trained to use a sword. So
I
Frozen has powers. Kill Bill is a woman using a sword. I don't know. Anyway, I thought it
I
was the
don't get
most
it.
bizarre
That's
statement
yeah,
ever, and I thought it was
yeah,
interesting. It looks like right now they're expecting that film to come out sometime in or a series, Disney Plus series,
serious. Yeah,
sometime in 2024.
yeah,
But that's all I really know about it. But when I read that, I was like, I should bring that up on the show.
yeah, yeah. Kill Bill and Frozen. Those are the two things I always think of together.
Absolutely.
Absolutely.
So the other big thing is Writers Guild of America is reporting that over 9,000 writers have approved strike authorization,
Oh my goodness.
and that is with 98% of the vote in. So,
Oh man.
so if they don't come up with an agreement by May 1st, and
Yeah.
as of this recording, that's only like a week away.
Yeah.
Um,
Exactly.
so if they don't come up with a solution, then this authorizes the unions to call a strike. So
Wow.
it's approved by the union members at this point. All they have to do is say we're striking, and it's a done deal. Now, the negotiation committee in an email said, in short, the studios have shown no sign that they intend to address the problems our members are determined to fix in this negotiation. And I don't remember if I'd mentioned it previously, if I brought this up, but one of the big contentions is writers don't feel like they're getting fair residuals when things go to streaming
Gotcha.
versus syndication, which is
Indication.
it's a different term.
Yeah,
So
it is.
legally, it's a different thing.
Gotcha.
And in all these old contracts, streaming wasn't even considered a
No.
thing.
Yeah.
So they're pushing really hard to get these changes through, and I know that's one of the big things they're trying to get.
And I can understand that. I mean, we've gotten away from syndication. I mean, we've got streaming is the new avenue for where
Absolutely.
movies and TV shows go to. So,
Yep.
I mean, I can see their point. If
Hmm.
syndication was on their contracts before, then they have to kind of roll with the times, and so that makes sense to me.
Yep. Yeah.
Not
I
saying I
totally.
like it because I know shows that we enjoy are going to be affected by it, but
Yeah.
what do they normally do in these situations when they have strikes and they have new shows? Do they usually does
Well,
someone
it kind of depends. If everything's already shot and in the can,
yeah,
then it'll go ahead and they'll play new episodes. Productions that are in the works,
yeah,
many of them may shut down depending on how the writing was going,
yeah,
because some of these shows, the writers are still working on scripts for the second half of the season while they're
yeah,
shooting the first half of the season.
yeah,
So that
gotcha.
could be an issue where we see gaps. Um, Another thing is certain projects want to have a writer on set in
Yeah.
case something happens or changes during the shooting, or that,
Yeah.
suddenly there's some actor that's unavailable. Now they got to
Yeah.
rewrite the script around this person because
Makes
they've got
sense.
to, they're on the shoot schedule and we have to fit it in. And if we don't get
Yeah.
this shot now, we're not going to get it shot later. Because TV shows are a little bit different than films.
Yeah.
If somebody suddenly is unavailable for a weekly shoot schedule, a lot of times they can kind of work around things and rewrite
Hmm.
the script. That's going to be hard to do without either having somebody who's not as qualified do the
Yeah.
writing. And then you have the problem of, you've got a scab writer,
Well,
who's
yeah.
breaking the picket line,
Yeah. And if
for
there's a
lack of a better
young,
word.
yeah, I mean, as a young writer, I mean, you get blacklisted after that.
Yeah.
So you definitely, and I'm sure there's a ton of young writers right now who just got into it and they're thinking, not right now, right
Yep.
now. And I think that's a big deal too. Some of these people who've been writers for a while and has done some good work, and I can understand it, but then I can see these young upcoming writers who are trying to get a
Hmm.
break. Then all suddenly now they hey, I finally got a series I'm on, and now all of a sudden we're on strike. What's going to happen? So
Yeah. Well, and
uh,
along with that, there's some other weird things. It's like, there's question marks of like animation. Most
yeah.
animation writers are not part of these unions and guild.
Oh, really?
So yeah, it's a whole different deal. And
That's wild.
on my other show, I actually had an animation writer on one time, and he kind of went on a rant about that.
Yeah.
um, so that's a question mark.
Yeah.
It's like, will they keep writing because they can, because they're not
Yeah.
part of the union? Will they join the strike because they want to stand in the
For
solidarity?
solidarity. Yeah.
Yeah, and the other part is reality TV shows.
Yeah.
Some reality TV shows are more written than others,
Hmm.
but some of them aren't using union writers because
Yeah.
they're reality TV. They're not exactly scripted narrative, so it's kind of a weird spot. So,
And a
so
monkey
we
could write
might,
those. Reality
yeah. So the
shows.
question
Yes,
mark is
yes.
what's all that going to look like? It's a little unclear,
Yeah.
but expect there to be more reality TV show, game show kind of things happening if there's strike, more animation. um, but that's kind of where everything falls out, and I'm not sure what this is all going to look like. I mean,
Yeah.
there was I can't 15 years ago is the last time there was a strike, and
Well,
I
it makes me
can't
wonder.
recall how long it lasted.
But it's interesting. You talk about animation, but you think of these big shows like The Simpsons and
Hmm.
and Family Guy, and some of these that are like weekly TV shows. Except it's animated. So
Presumably a lot of those will keep going
yeah,
because, and I don't know if this is the reason.
yeah.
These are comedy writers, they're not traditional show writers, and
Hmm.
that may be part of how that plays out.
Okay.
I,
Okay.
I don't know all the ins and outs of that. I have some friends that are this is one of those weird things where I realize some places are more, they're more strict than others. So I
Yeah.
have some friends, they do this interview show. They do a lot of funny stuff. They've been trying to get into a comedy guild, but
Hmm.
they're not allowed to be in the comedy guild because they're not comedians.
Mm. Yeah.
So it's like it may fall into one of those categories where you've got a room full of comedians writing scripts for something like The Simpsons, but
Hmm.
they're not considered writers for
Hmm.
screen purposes
So what would
because
they
they're
call
writing
us?
jokes.
What do
They
they
call
call
us
us?
they call us hacks. That's what
Do we have our own screen guild? Do we have our own union? The hacky sacks?
we need to start one.
We'll
Uh,
start one. We'll start one.
actually, that is a thing. for us, people like us who do a podcast,
Mm-hmm.
there's radio unions and guilds,
Yeah.
and there's a big question mark as to whether or not podcasters should be allowed into that.
Mm.
It's a big thing. It's a question
Yeah.
mark.
No, it's
And
they have
I
to be.
actually looked into it a while back,
Yeah.
and it was kind of interesting, kind of
Hmm.
exploration. And then I quickly realized that I wasn't going to be qualified, so I didn't worry
This
about
is
it
not right.
further.
That's just not right. Well, if you don't have anything else, do you have anything else to add to
I
the
don't have
stupid?
anything else. That's all I had for
I think it
today.
was fascinating. Actually, I could probably talk. We could probably do a show on this by itself. It's fascinating. Uh, but now for something that's not fascinating, I think we should do some stupid news.
Let's do it. It's the Weird and Stupid News with your host, Mr. Mike Schilling.
Well, that's how I like to start everything. Well, uh, Ricky, sometimes, I've been in situations where I've gone to the zoo and, I'm out there with the kids and we're having some hot dogs, corn dogs, hamburgers and stuff.
Oh yeah,
And you got birds, trying to take your food and all that kind of stuff.
yeah.
And it gets pretty wild. Well, in Great Britain, they have an issue too, but there's a seagulls. So they
Okay.
have these seagulls.
Oh,
So
okay.
the Blackpool Zoo, they're recruiting human seagull deterrence.
Human seagull. Oh my
That's
gosh.
that's right. That's
For those of
right.
you who are listening on the podcast, you cannot see the image that I see of an inflatable a person in an inflatable eagle suit.
Yes, and he almost looks like Norman from Seinfeld, or the guy who, yeah, he reminds me of somebody I know from TV. But yeah, the Blackpool Zoo in Lancashire put up an advert after bosses said that birds had been persistently stealing food from visitors and from animals' enclosures.
Oh my gosh.
So yeah, so they said those taking a role would need to be outgoing and comfortable wearing a bird outfit. Uh,
Oh my goodness.
yes, however, the seagulls are proving to be a bit of a nuisance when it comes to trying to steal food from our visitors and our animal enclosures. We need to do what we can to keep the seagulls away from our main visitors and dining areas. So those who are interested, contact the zoo. So there you go. There's new opportunities, which I think is pretty cool. There's always opportunities to grow, and that's one right there.
So
So
if you're a listener in Europe, you should
yes,
try this
yes, and then let us know how it
and
goes.
report back.
Report back and let us know. Yes. Well, a lot of people, there's a lot of novelties out there. People come up with ingenious inventions. And of course, thank goodness
Okay.
for TikTok that shows us these new inventions. And thank you for Florida. That's why. That's right, my friends.
Oh no.
What in the Florida is this? Well, a man from Tallahassee, Florida has developed a device that allows him to kiss bugs.
Oh,
That's
why?
right. Yes, the device is known as Bug Kiss, and essentially a lips cut from a baby doll attached by a spring onto a pacifier.
Why do we need to kiss bugs?
I do not know, but apparently he thinks it's a great idea. You can kiss everything from worms to beetles to even wasps. I don't know why you would want
Oh,
to.
I don't
Yes.
know that I would want to kiss a wasp.
Which here at Speaking Nerdy, we do not approve of. So kids, don't
No.
try this at home. But anyway, a TikTok account, he says basically his TikTok account has racked up millions of views, and apparently it's worth it. He said reports state that TikTok pays its content creators between $20 to $40 per 1 million views. Well, that's okay. And So when he makes videos of himself kissing worms in Tallahassee, he gets 15 million plays. He's looking at 300 and $600. So he's made $600 doing this. So he said in his videos he properly explains the correct way to kiss a bug. I bet you didn't know that. As
So you
reported
buy
by
it and then you can go watch the videos
That's
on
right.
how to use the product.
He actually has a video how to make your own. So you can go to TikTok and watch that as well. Yes, as reported by the New York Post, you can move in slowly for a smooch, gently pressing the mini lips against the bug. You should avoid eye contact, they say, as this can be threatening for some insects.
Oh my gosh.
The Bug Kiss isn't currently a product you can buy, but he explains how to make your own. In this comments, he states, I'm opening to making real. So I guess this is something that he's trying to get in publication. He says, so if there's a demand for the people to want to kiss bugs, the product could be made. And he showed some videos on how he created it. So,
I'm thinking Shark Tank right here.
Shark Tank right here. Yes.
Yeah, he needs to go on Shark Tank
Yes.
and get them to invest millions of dollars for 0.1% of his business.
Oh yeah. I don't know how many times, you want it to lick a bug. Now you can kiss it.
I don't know. I just remember a song called that said, "Have you ever been frog kissing?"
Yeah, I think I'm done. I think I'm done.
This has been the Weird and Stupid News with your host, Mr. Mike Schilling.
I don't even know why we do this every week. It's just every week I feel less and less, inspired by humanity. So anyway,
the combination of Florida and TikTok.
I tell you what, that's a combination.
The epitome of humanity right there.
That's like drinking and driving. They just don't mix. Humanity and Florida. That was nice. Sigh. We had that together. So, so tonight we're going to talk about the season 3, the finale of Mandalorian.
Yes.
It's chapter 27,
24.
episode 8. Huh? 24?
Chapter 24.
I get confused.
Episode 8 of season 3.
We got to do either chapters or episodes. This is so confusing to me. But anyhow, but it's the finale. And okay, the last podcast we did.
Wait, should we do the spoiler alert first?
Yes, go ahead. Go ahead and do it for fun.
All right, go ahead. What were you saying?
Now, the last podcast, we came up on some resources that was so wrong that we anticipated something that did not happen. Prior to reading this article, we had some really good hunches.
Yes.
Of course, most of the season we did not. But some of the things we said in the beginning actually happened. But as time went on, we were tricked over and over again to believe something else. Oh my goodness, I almost lost my sorry about that. So yes, I guess got me excited there. Go ahead.
We did predict a lot of things.
Yes, we did.
And some of those things did actually happen.
Yes.
Many happened much earlier than we said they would.
Yes, exactly.
Which really threw us off because then we didn't know what could happen next.
Exactly right.
And then we had Jack Black and Lizzo for some inexplicable reason.
Yes.
And so
Scooby-Doo mystery episode. Yes.
I mean, there's just been so many things. We had the episodes that, where the episodes of The Mandalorian where there really wasn't any Mandalorian. And we had, we had political strife and we had pirates.
That's right.
And for the most part, none of them had any bearing to do at all with the finale.
No,
the only thing I think we've really gotten right was to say that Moff Gideon would be the big bad at the end of the season.
That's right. That's the only thing I think we've gotten right through the whole thing. Um, I mean, there's a lot of haters out there, how,
Yep.
people feel like that they've just kind of squeezed everything together at the last minute. But my personal opinion on it is that it felt like Star Wars to me. And I
Yes,
thought it had
it
some
did.
really great action scenes. You have to remember, and in Star Wars, we grew up back when the original trilogy, we had New
Oh yeah.
Hope. I mean, this is,
Yep.
yeah, New Hope, Empire Strikes Back, Return of the Jedi.
Yep.
These were the formats. And today everything is now, episodic, every week there's an episode,
Yeah.
episodic, every week an episode. And you have to watch the whole thing as a film. Now,
Yep.
honestly, if I had to watch this whole thing as a film, I'd be freaking confused. Okay. So this is the only time I
Yes.
would have to say that, yeah, this was not I don't think it would make a good full film movie,
No,
but no, it would
this
not.
season would not.
The season would not. So with that said, I thought this last episode was very Star Wars like. I had paid a
Yes.
lot of homage, whether they meant to or not, to some other stuff, that I
Yep.
thought was really cool. And of course, Dave Filoni and John Favreau, I'm sure that they do this stuff, because
Yeah.
they know it has a premise.
Oh, absolutely.
Some fan fodder there. So, but yeah, tonight we are talking about chapter 24, The Return, and a lot of stuff. I mean, we found out a lot of
Yep.
things. We kind of, and we're going to be all over the place, but I guess the biggest thing was, we talked about Moff Gideon. He was in the
Mm-hmm.
cloning gig. He was kind of
Yep.
holding back and not telling his fellow Shadow Council buddies. He was trying to
Yeah.
keep it to himself. And I think what I was shocked with, and I knew he had clones, but I
Yes.
didn't think he had clones of himself.
Well,
That threw me. Did you think that?
I thought maybe that could be a thing,
Yeah.
but I wasn't sure. Like I was convinced he had a different plan than the Emperor.
Mm-hmm.
So what we see in the sequel trilogy, I had decided at this point that's not what we're seeing.
No, and I agree with that. That was his own personal plan. He really had no, from the last episode when he was meeting with the Shadow Council, he had really no loyalty to the Empire.
No.
It was him. He wanted to be the person that actually take lead of the galaxy, no matter what it was called. And, he had, he was very disrespectful in a way, Admiral on. He just kind of, dismissed it. So he wasn't very much, he was more of a warlord, as far as I was concerned.
Absolutely. He was concerned with his own grand schemes and nobody else's. And if anybody else's grand schemes fit or helped him, then great.
Yeah.
And if they didn't, he had no interest and did not care.
And if it had, and he thought anything that would actually, take away any power from him, then he would make sure that it did not happen. He kept everything. Yeah.
With that in mind, clones of himself really do make sense.
Yes. I just wasn't for sure that, and I thought he was creating some super soldier clones.
Mm-hmm.
I don't, do you think these soldiers with Beskar, I don't think they were clones, do you?
I don't think so.
I don't think so
at this point, I don't think he had successfully
got to
dispatched.
that point.
Well, okay. So I have something, but I want to save it to the end.
Save it to the end. Okay.
When we go, where are we going from here?
Gotcha.
Because I have a thought. But as far as those soldiers in white, those soldiers in red, no, I do not think they were clones of his.
Clones.
I think they were well trained, well armored
Yeah.
soldiers that were just normal soldiers.
Gotcha. Gotcha. Well, that's, I saw, throughout the thing, and like I said, if you've seen it, then we don't really need to get in detail much about it. I mean, I know that we last left that, Din was captured by Moff
Hmm.
Gideon, and
Which I will say, we have to start calling him Djarin,
Djarin. Yes.
because Din is not his first name.
No,
Din apparently is that his surname? I always get that wrong.
would be the surname. Yeah.
Yeah, because later on we find out Grogu is now
Who
Din Grogu,
Yes, Din Grogu.
which makes me question: is it since it's Bo Katan Kryze? What is her name?
I don't understand. It's almost kind of reminds me of the Chinese type of how
Yes,
Lee is, Lee is in the first half, and then
yes,
whatever the second. So
yeah.
that's
It's
interesting to
where
me.
from
Yeah,
for American perspective, we have the names
we
flipped,
have a name
and
twist. Yeah,
I also question: is that a Mandalorian thing, or is that a whatever Din Djarin is?
I
Because
don't
he's a
know.
foundling, he's not
Yeah,
technically, ethnically a
yeah,
Mandalorian.
true.
So that's a question mark I have. And so I'm trying to figure out, what do we call Bo-Katan Kryze? And I only say Bo-Katan Kryze rather than Bo-Katan because every time the armorer says her name, she says the full name. Have you
Full
noticed that?
name. Yeah, I have
She
noticed that.
never says just Bo-Katan.
Yeah,
She always adds the Kryze,
Bo-Katan
where
Kryze.
nobody else calls her that. But nobody else calls uh the and nobody else calls Din Djarin. Almost everybody
Yes,
calls him Mando.
Mando. I saw this one meme where was it last week, where I was a meme someone created where they had all the Mandalorians there in Araro, and you had Kerr there. I think um, Craig Kirku. I can't remember Carl Weathers' character,
Oh yeah.
and yeah, and so in this crowd of Mandalorians, he say, "Hey, Mando," and
And
it
everybody turns
and
around.
everybody, yeah. So
That's funny.
yeah. So, but yeah, I mean, there was a lot of nods to some past episodes. I mean, some past movies.
Oh yeah.
I had a little bit of the whole one scene I thought was really kind of cool was the scene where um, Din and Grogu in IG-11
Hmm.
was
IG
they need
12.
12. Is that
They called
12?
they call when
Oh, that's
he's
right.
IG
IG-12.
11. When you put
Yeah.
Grogu in him, they call him
And
IG
then
12.
IG-12. That's right.
Yeah, I
Okay. Well,
know that's so
that's some good
weird, but
writing. Okay. So I love the scene where it's just like on the Death Star of New Hope, where they bring in when they bring in
yes,
RD5, I
yes.
believe, yeah, RD5 in, and it's like, so he comes in and he's doing his little thing, and of course he gets attacked by these little robot police or whatever those things are.
Little
Yeah,
mouse
that
droids.
little mouse droids. But remember seeing that in on New Hope when they're on the Death Star. So they're
Yeah.
so I thought that was really fascinating. Kind of a nod, and this is why I'm talking about. It kind of feels like Star Wars because they had some of the best action of all the episodes. This is
Oh,
probably one of the best
absolutely.
action, and of course that may be on purpose for the build up,
Hmm.
but I think it would have helped if we had a little bit more of that throughout the season. But I don't know. There's, we definitely had some episodes where I didn't think we ever would come to this point of having. Um, Honestly, I didn't. I really don't know what we were going to end up with.
Yeah.
Um, we had. I mean, we had. And I'm not even going to try to go in any kind of order, but there's a couple of things. They have. You you have this one scene where you have the guards,
Yes.
trying to attack Grogu. Grogu, apparently
Jumping
ID-12 is,
around.
yeah, jumping around doing a Yoda thing. They're after him like trying to swat a fly, and then all suddenly you got Din. He comes in and he's taking them down, and between the two of them, Grogu using the Force when he can.
Yep.
And of course, in this, we see Grogu having greater skills in the Force. You can tell he's stronger.
Absolutely. Yeah,
There,
we see him use it more effectively in this episode than I think we ever have.
I think
Swiping weapons out of people's hands, or
yeah,
just before they can grab them, or knocking people over, or holding
yeah,
people still for just a moment.
yeah,
Yeah, those were great little moments to say
yeah.
Grogu is more than he's ever been.
I think one of the biggest scenes for me, and it was a callback from the show Rebels, for me was Grogu using the Force for the
Yes.
holding back the blast, and the blast
Yep.
was coming from they. I think it was what was it? Fox? Oh, what's his name? Axe.
Axel.
Woven. Yes,
Yeah,
and Axe.
him crashing the ship.
Yeah, but this reminds me of the scene in the Rebels where Kanan Jarrus. Do
Oh,
you
okay.
remember the scene where he holds back this fire
Ah.
to save his crew, and
Mm,
he perished in the process of it because he wouldn't jump? But here's Grogu able to hold this off until the very end, which I
mm.
thought was fascinating. And and I think they did it on purpose to see how strong he is in the Force.
Oh, absolutely.
Because I don't know how many Jedi's would have been able to do that.
And when it's over, he does kind of sit down,
Like he kind
but he
of,
doesn't
yeah,
do that I'm done and pass out thing
passes
like
out.
he
Yeah, I was
has done
waiting
in
for
the
that. I was
past.
waiting for that, and he didn't do it. He sat
Yep.
down. You can tell that. Okay, that was exhausting, but
Yep.
didn't wipe him out. So
Yeah,
yeah,
I thought that was nice. You talk about this felt like Star Wars. Another thing that I think feels like a lot of the early Star Wars movies, is there is an epic battle going on.
yeah,
Epic battle with lots and lots of people. But there's this one-on-one battle going on, and it's the one
exactly,
that matters.
exactly.
And that is very Star Wars-esque.
Yeah,
You know, we are having we're having this epic battle with all these other people,
hmm,
but this important meeting of minds is happening, and they are the most important battle, and whoever wins that is going to win the war, no matter
yeah.
what the rest of it looks like.
I think in this, even though we thought about Bo-Katan
Mhm,
and we talk about Moff Gideon having fighting at the
mhm.
very end, it really showcased Din, his combat abilities. He
Yeah.
had more of a against Moff Gideon. Uh, Surprising to me is that because Moff Gideon had this mechanical Beskar outfit that he was able to crush
Yes.
the dark saber, and you know, and that's
he
kind of
he was
that.
an interesting combination of Moff Gideon and the robotic dark
Yeah,
troopers
yeah,
from the
exactly.
previous season.
Yeah,
I thought that was interesting that he didn't just have a suit that looks a little like Darth Vader.
later.
It was
Yeah,
a powered suit. So
yeah,
it enhanced his strength even.
yeah,
So that was an interesting ad that I don't think I've seen in any other Star Wars shows
yeah,
before. I, it was interesting. It made sense. Moff Gideon is competent, but he knows in and of himself he can't do this by himself.
yeah,
He's going to
exactly.
have some enhancements.
Yeah, yeah, because he's not a Jedi, and and he's been he's been beaten by Din before, so
Yes.
he needed some kind of advantage there. But now the dark saber is out of play. That that changes things as far as Mandalore. From my opinion, and I do not believe it's going to take away from Bo-Katan leadership.
No.
I think it will change how Mandalore sees leadership, how Mandalorians will see leadership among their people.
I think that could. I'm curious whether they will reforge the dark saber.
Hmm.
Um, just because that is kind of sword lore,
I just
we go
thinking that,
go to you go to Lord of the Rings, the sword that was broken,
yeah,
reforged kind of thing. But I don't think it needs to happen.
I don't
But
think
I
so
don't know that
either.
it would be out of the question. We see Luke build his own saber in the
Yeah,
in the first trilogy.
yeah.
Um, we've seen lightsabers be lost, and then I have to go make a new one. So the idea that the dark saber is remade, I don't think it's out of the question, but I don't think it's necessary.
And I don't think it would be an easy thing because the dark saber goes back from the very first Jedi slash Mandalorian. So
True.
it was crafted. This is not like the dark saber is a kyber that it's not readily available. It's one
Hmm.
of a kind. So I don't know if having the forge, what they did end up, was getting
Hmm.
close to the end. They did started a new forge again,
Yeah.
uh, to continue the tradition of the Mandalorians. But I, I'm not saying they couldn't. It would be an entire series getting to that. And like, well, we said that about this series where, you know, we
Well,
thought it was an entire series about the
and the
redemption of Din, but
and then the question there is, if the crystal is okay, can you just
yeah,
remake the hilt?
well, that's true.
But
I don't
I
know.
don't, like I said, I don't know that it's necessary.
I don't really think it's necessary. And I think it might be, it may change the customs in a way where it's like a leader is judged by other standards, whether or not they
Hmm.
have the dark saber or not. So I don't
True.
know. I don't think it's needed. Um, you know, if they decide to go that direction, it's gonna. I think it's more. It needs to be more complicated than Din's redemption on episode one.
I agree. It almost feels like that would be a whole different series.
Yeah,
My guess, I mean, this is kind of the predictions of what's happening later.
yeah.
Um, I don't see us revisiting Mandalore for an extended period of time next season.
No, I don't think so either.
I mean, the idea that at the end, we see Grogu is finally adopted. He's no longer just a foundling.
Yes,
Din
right.
Djarin is going to adopt him as his son so he can help make decisions for Grogu.
And now
Um,
they are Rangers of the New Republic. No, I'm just
kind
kidding.
of, but not officially.
I no, they're not. I read that somewhere where they someone made that possibility, and it's like they bounty hunters now,
Yeah, they're
but
bounty
for
hunters for sure.
yes,
But that
but
idea
for good.
that he needs to go do his journeys, you
I
know,
thought that was interesting. I didn't realize that was a thing.
I,
That
I've never heard it before, but
no,
I mean, it doesn't seem out of the question. It doesn't seem super unusual, and it gives them a good excuse to go adventuring next
uh huh,
season.
yeah, and that's what I thought too. And I think that should be an episodic where every week there's something that happened. Every episode there's a new bounty. I think that would be fun.
Yep. Oh
I
yeah,
would like that.
absolutely.
That'd be a nice change.
Yep.
Um, I mean, you can have a larger arc, kind of like what the
Hmm.
Bad Batch did. You can
Oh
have
yeah.
a major arc, but you have, all these other things that goes on.
Yep.
And I think it'd be fun to see the two of them go bounty hunting. It'd be
Oh, I
kind of,
think it would be great. And I like the idea that the as he said, you don't have the manpower to cover the whole outer rim.
yeah,
And there are times where you'll need to do things that you can't legally do, but I can.
exactly.
And
Exactly.
that's a great line. That's a great way to look at it. It gives him it gives him opportunity,
Yes,
and it gives some extra protection that the outer rim isn't going to get from the New Republic. So I
exactly.
it is definitely that idea of, hey, when I came to ask you for help and you wouldn't give it, well, the next time somebody comes to ask you for help and you can't give it, you can call me instead.
Me. Yeah, it was funny because, and I wish I could remember his name. The the X-wing fighter. What's his name?
Oh,
I can't. I can't remember his name. Uh, the guy who played throughout all this through the
yeah,
episodes, and I can't remember his name, but he made a comment to him when he made the offer at first. He says, "I don't think the New Republic is going to agree to that," and he says, "I'll be working for you."
yeah,
Basically, it's like this is not a New Republic thing.
yeah, exactly.
This is, you hire me to do what you
Yeah,
need me to do. So
you
it was
hire
kind
me
of
to do the things you can't do.
exactly. So what did he think? Okay, we talked about IG 12, 11 now, but guess what? 11's back, newer
Yes, new
and
and improved, and
new
he
and
is the
improved.
sheriff in town.
Yes.
I liked that. I thought that was a nice little callback. It's a good fit to that.
Yeah.
You know, Grief Karga wants somebody to be the new sheriff in town.
Yeah.
Mando's not willing to be the new sheriff. The Republic won't sit. He doesn't want somebody from the New Republic. He wants to
Yeah.
be independent. This is a great
Yeah, I think
solution
so.
to the problem.
Yeah. I agree with that.
I mean, the
I
only
mean,
other better
yeah.
solution would have been to bring back the guy that you like from the Book of Boba
Yeah, I know. Yeah, I know.
Fett.
Yes, I know.
But I
Yes.
think this is a great solution to the problem.
Yeah, I agree. And you know, I figured they would bring him back eventually. I was hoping that was the
Mhm.
case. So
Yes.
I thought that was pretty cool. I think the ending was kind of odd for me. I mean, I like the idea where you have Den kicked back. They because I talked about how I felt like eventually they would take that plot of land that
Yes.
was that Grief offered them,
Yeah.
and that's what they did. They have a new home now,
Yep.
and they're settled there. But we all know that this probably will be their base of camp, right?
Yes.
And
This
probably
will be
next.
their home base, and we'll see them traveling around and come back home from time to time.
I do think it was kind of funny though how they ended it with the circle, the black and circle. It looked like something that was like from the Muppets or something.
I heard
It
somebody
felt
else say
weird.
Looney Tunes.
Looney
I thought it was
Tunes,
weird
yes.
too. It
I thought it
was
was strange.
it was a strange little ending. It was cute and all, but yes, I agree. It was strange.
Yeah.
I'm not quite sure what to think of that part. Um, I will say that since we're talking about the end, I
Hmm.
think we have to discuss the big elephant in the room, and that is we didn't actually see the dead body of Moff Gideon.
That's right.
Um, I'm questioning after a second watch. First watch, I thought, oh, he fell. We all know what that means.
Mm-hmm.
Upon second watch, it doesn't actually look like he fell.
No, it didn't.
But then there's another possibility. So okay, there's the idea of, somehow he comes back.
Yeah.
Um, or were we ever really seeing the real Moff Gideon?
Oh my goodness.
Was this his
A
first
clue.
clone that just didn't have the Force yet? And then the real Moff Gideon isn't actually there. So he
So this,
definitely survives. That's an easy way for Moff
yeah, I mean,
Gideon to
yeah,
survive.
yeah, it's awesome soap opera as the world turns. Yes. Um,
So
yeah,
did that even had that occurred to you?
no, it didn't. I felt like I had the question mark in my head. Was he dead? Is he dead or not?
Yeah.
Um, the thought of the possibility of that being a clone did not cross my mind, just because I thought, okay, Den destroyed all the clones that was in the, but that doesn't mean anything. Okay, I mean,
Yeah,
but at
he
this
destroyed all of those clones.
those clones, but again, was he at that place where those clones are actually functioning? And
Yeah.
maybe that maybe he had one clone that was working. I don't know.
Or
Um,
and even weirder, this is kind of a weird, really weird idea. If it's a clone, what if it was a slightly malformed clone? And
yeah,
that's why he had robotic legs and robotic arms. And, these
yeah.
are all big open questions that I don't know that we're ever going to get a full answer to. But
But do you think the character Moff Gideon at this point kind of kind of lost his I don't know, interest, as the viewer?
I'm
I'm
done with him.
I'm done with him too.
At this point, I feel like I'm done with him. We had 2 full seasons plus
Yeah.
a final episode of the
Yeah.
first season. Because the first season we didn't know who the bad guy was until
Yeah.
he showed up at the very last moment. Um, so I'm kind of done. I'm over it. I
Yeah,
hope
I'm
he's really dead.
yeah.
Um, but we
I
know
mean, it
that
sucks for the actor, but yes, I feel the same way.
yeah, I hope he's dead. But we all know dead doesn't mean dead in Star
No.
Wars. Hardly ever.
Well, we're not. I
Um,
mean, well, and if they wanted to make it, if they wanted to make sure you knew he was dead, we would have seen something like Harrison Ford falling down after getting, cut by
yeah,
his son.
cut in half.
Cutting
Of
out
course,
by his son.
of course, getting cut in half didn't stop um, Darth Darth
Oh,
Maul.
Darth Maul. Yeah,
So
but he's
I
kind
mean,
of the yeah.
you know,
Okay,
it,
yeah, you're right. You're
we've
right.
seen entirely too many people survive
Yeah.
unsurvivable things.
They may
So
have did it just to say, "Hey, let's put him in our back pocket." I don't know.
that is
Um,
my big that is my big thought is
yeah,
we're going to kill him off, but we're going to kill him off in such a way that if we ever decide it's a good fit, we can bring him
and
back.
bring him back. Yeah,
My big thought is I don't have a good reason to bring
I
him back.
don't. I
In
think.
the
I
grand
think
scheme of things, I feel like we need to be heading to Thrawn.
that's exactly how I agree. I think
We've got Ahsoka coming. We've
yes,
got a Filoni movie. There's no reason that Thrawn is not the focus of both of those.
yeah.
So I don't feel like there's a good reason to continue having Moff Gideon unless there is unless those two are going to go at it for some reason for control. That's the only reason I have
That would
any
yes,
reason for him to come back. It is for those two to be at odds, not
yes,
for him to come back for revenge again.
yeah.
because he's already come back for
Well,
revenge.
and exactly, and he's a lot weaker within the. If he does come back, he's a lot weaker with the Shadow Council because they had to lend him the resources to take on the Mandalorians,
Yep.
and so
And he failed again.
and he failed again. So I don't know. I think he was. I thought he was excellent. I think he was the baddie for the moment. I
Yes,
think,
I
as I
agree.
said, like you said, I think there is too many foreshadowings and comments about Thrawn, and that's where it's building up to.
Yep.
I really don't see Moff Gideon. I mean, he's no longer, he's a henchman now. If he came
Yeah.
back, he really, as far as I'm concerned, doesn't have the power or the clout. He lost that, and
Hmm.
plus, he dished. You know, he was very disrespectful to one of the Shadow Council members that you can tell is loyal to Thrawn,
Yes.
and so I'm sure that would get back to Thrawn. So I don't think, like I said, they could bring back Moff Gideon. It maybe would be a smaller role. Maybe maybe they have him as some type of mob boss or something like that. But we're going for a build up, and
Yeah.
I
I
and I
feel
just
like
don't.
I
Yeah,
feel like it too. With that idea of mob boss, I could see Moff Gideon come back in conjunction with the one pirate that flew off. Remember, there
yeah,
was one pirate that
yeah. I remember
survived.
that.
If Moff Gideon then comes with a full blown pirate crew, not associated with any Imperial forces,
Yeah.
purely a pirate crew, absolutely only back for revenge,
Mm-hmm.
not because he's trying to be the new supreme leader or anything
Yeah.
like that. If it was strictly for revenge, I could kind of see it work if he only came back with a pirate crew. But I still don't like it. I,
Yeah. I don't like it.
I
I mean, I
still
can
don't
see
want it
him.
to happen.
Yeah, I don't want it to happen. I mean, the other thing I can see Moff Gideon coming back just so it can show how powerful Thrawn is and to step on him like a bug. And it would be
Yes.
like it could be on the first episode, squash, you're gone. Um,
Yeah, I could see that.
yeah, but I don't think there's a need for Moff Gideon to come back. I love the actor. I think he's great. I think he played that, but this particular actor plays great
Yeah.
villains,
Oh yeah,
and
absolutely.
he did a great job. But I think as far as the character go, I think it's kind of it's it's exhausted itself to the
Yeah.
point where I think we're ready for the new baddie, the ominous Thrawn coming in.
Yeah.
So
I hope what we get next season is there is something in the outer rim stirring up.
yeah,
Definitely Thrawn, but we're
yeah,
not going to say necessarily it's Thrawn. Maybe
yeah,
we're going to drop hints that it's Thrawn.
yeah,
And the whole time, all these little things are popping up, and they are things that the New Republic isn't allowed to deal with
yeah,
because it's not New Republic business, but it's definitely Thrawn. And Din and Grogu get sent on these one-off missions that all point to Thrawn.
I keep
I
wondering
want to
too.
see that.
I really want to see the new Republic, and I don't really get into the fight. We
Yeah.
watch Ahsoka, and you see some of the characters from the Rebels, and one in particular, and of course I can't remember her name because I have no notes, but um, but yeah, I mean, you have some people who are who was part of the Rebel Alliance and now
Hmm.
fighters for the New Republic. Uh, I guess I'm having a hard time seeing the stupidity of the New Republic. I would like to see X-wing fighters come in and see the New Republic as a cavalry coming in on one of these, because they're going to have to be a fight between the New Republic and Thrawn. Uh,
Yeah.
unless it's just going to be the small group of people like Ahsoka and and
Hmm.
Sabine. What's the name of the pirate of the ship, the Ghost pilot? Um,
I can't
See,
recall.
you know what I'm talking about.
Yeah,
She was
I know who you're talking about, but I
a
can't
love
remember her
in,
name.
yeah. Okay. Put it in the comments, even though we won't read it. So I can't think of anything else. I know that I'm looking. There was another glimpse of the Mythosaurus at the end,
Yes,
and
Grogu had some connection. You think?
I think he's going to ride him like a Rancor. I think
Yes, that needs to happen at some
that
point.
needs to happen. No, I can't think of anything else as far as the future goes. I think, you know, I, I think, I like we said before, I think we're building up to Thrawn. Um, Now, the Mandalorian, Ahsoka's going to come out first, from my understanding. Before,
Ahsoka would happen before season 4. Yes,
okay,
that should happen.
so,
But
okay,
do does the story have to happen before?
yeah,
You know what I'm saying?
yeah,
They could be parallel stories, or they could be adjacent stories,
yeah,
or there could be a time hop before Ahsoka,
yeah,
so that season 4 technically happened before Ahsoka, even though it got released first. I,
yeah.
I mean, there's so many things I could do with there.
And yeah, that's exactly what I'm wondering. I'm wondering how that's going to fit in the timeline, and is Ahsoka, because I'm hoping there's more than one season of Ahsoka, because that's
Well,
like,
and even though there was a hint of Thrawn in this season,
yeah,
we don't have a we don't really have a direct connection to the Ahsoka series at the
yeah,
end of this season, which I kind of expected. But that's not, it doesn't seem like that's what's happening. So
yeah,
I don't see there being any reason why season 4 couldn't, timeline wise, happen before Ahsoka.
yeah, exactly, exactly. So I don't know. I know that you know, I know the ending was packed full of action, and we had tied it up in a nice knot in a happy ending,
Yep.
which I'm okay with. I'm okay the way it ended. I don't know about the little black circle coming down and
Do
making it
you,
look like a,
okay, so here's a question I have for you.
yeah,
Do we know there is going to be a season 4?
yes.
Does there need to be?
Honestly, I don't think so.
I
I
kind of feel
think
the same way.
I think they could have ended it on this
Yeah,
and bring them into Ahsoka
I think so too.
and go from there. I mean, don't get me wrong, I love more Mando, but as far as a stopping point, I think this would be it. Unless, something happened in Ahsoka. But the thing is, we're at a point now, it's kind of the whole beginning of the end kind of thing happening.
Yeah.
I mean, eventually it's all going to tie to, the sequels. And
Yeah, but that, I mean, we've got like, if I have it calculated right, we have 15 or 20 more years to cover.
oh, yeah, we do. Yeah, we definitely
So
do.
plenty of time for Thrawn to create a major force,
Yeah.
be destroyed, and have another force come up.
Yeah. Oh, definitely so. Definitely so. I'm just, I don't know how long they want to keep going this direction. And, because the acolytes are going to be coming out. Um, or Gregor says he wants to do another Kenobi. He's been asking for doing another one. I don't know if they're going to do that or not.
Yeah, I've seen that.
Um,
He really wants it to happen, but I haven't seen anybody saying that it's
no, I
going to.
haven't. Me neither. like I said, I don't want the Mandoverse to end. I really like the characters. And so I hope they do milk this whole 15 years prior to the sequels because
I do too.
but I want them to do it if it makes sense. And I want
Yeah.
them to do it. I mean, I don't have a problem with an entire season of Mandalorian 4 where it's just him, Din, and a couple of the other actors in it, and
Mhm.
all he does is bounty hunting. And at the very last season, something happens where they go, "Uh-oh," you know.
Yeah.
Um, I just I like that. I don't have a problem with that. Um, but if Ahsoka's coming out first and then Mandalorian 4, somehow they're, unless they do this, I hate to say the word prequel, or, this is a flashback episode or
Yeah.
season, I don't know. Somehow they're going to have to be involved with Ahsoka's doing, unless, like you said, it's like those comic books that have, they have this one big story arc and they all kind of, here you got Superman and Batman and you have this and all of this is going on at the same time,
Yeah.
and they all converge in one comic book. And I feel like I it's really interesting how they're going to orchestrate all this. This is
Hmm.
Marvel-esque, and I'm
Yeah.
trying to see how
Absolutely.
they're. And I want to see, I'm fascinated how they're going to do this without over welcoming, overstaying,
Yeah.
extending their welcome. Uh,
Yeah. I feel like Ahsoka is probably going to end on a cliffhanger
yeah, I agree.
to lead into this Filoni film. I, I'm not sure. Do we have dates on the Filoni film yet?
I do not. I do
Okay,
not.
I
I
haven't
don't.
seen anything either.
And
So
I don't know what's coming first. I don't know if it's they say Filoni, is the film actually a film,
that
movie
was my
theater
understanding.
film?
That
Okay.
was my understanding.
Because that would be, I mean, yeah. And then I know they're talking about doing something of the old Republic. I mean, no, actually, it's the prior to the Republic. I forget the name of
Yeah,
it.
it's like 25,000 years before A New Hope or something
High
ridiculous.
Republic or something like
It,
that. I even
it's
even
like
further back
it's
than
like the
that. Yeah.
first Jedi is
Yes.
what it's
Exactly.
supposed to
Yeah.
be.
And of course, the whole
Okay,
Ray thing.
what I'm seeing here is
Yeah.
the Filoni Star Wars film is targeting 2026. So
Okay.
theoretically, that could be post Ahsoka and post season 4 of The Mandalorian.
Yeah.
And for that matter, theoretically, we could get 2 seasons of Ahsoka in there.
I can see that happening. I can see that happening because they were, I mean, Mandalorian 3 was not even out yet and they were already kicking it on season 4,
Right.
with the writing. So they,
Yeah.
they,
I could see this. It could drag out.
do you think Pedro Pascal would actually come back? I mean, do you think because they're at this point, unless they take off his helmet, do they
Has he
really need
officially
him?
left?
I do not know. I know there were some, I, I don't know. I know they had some rumors. I know there was stuff flying around.
Yeah, I
Um,
saw some stuff too, but I
but
mean,
I hadn't heard anything. I haven't heard anything from him on the Twitterverse or on the Instagram. So I don't know. But I could see where. I mean, it's kind of hard to know that it's his voice. It
yeah,
doesn't sound like him. He's not in the suit.
right.
You know, it's almost like Van Diesel as Groot. Okay, why is he even doing I am Groot? Okay, there's no need to have a name with a big name with that.
Because he
Um,
wants to cash a check.
oh, I know it, but I'd be
But
wanting to
Pedro
save some money.
Pascal is getting so many other gigs.
I know.
Yeah, that's a big question mark in my brain. Now that Grogu is his adopted son, Does he get to
Yeah.
take off the helmet in front of his son? I had read some
Well,
things a while back that was like maybe Bo-Katan and Din will get married and then they
sorry
can
for
take their
that.
helmets off. I don't want to see that either.
I don't want to
But
see that.
I don't think it doesn't fit. I
Doesn't
mean,
fit.
he is loyal to her as a soldier,
Yeah.
as a Mandalorian. I
Yeah.
don't see any love interest there, and I haven't felt any love interest. But
I think the
I had read
closest
some
thing was
things.
Cara Dunn. Closest thing I saw was maybe Cara
Yeah,
Dunn.
yeah, that could have made sense. But I did
Yeah.
read some things that were talking about, if two Mandalorians who are married are allowed to take their helmets off in front of each other in their home,
Hmm.
so that now that Grogu is officially his son, can he take off the helmet when it's just him and Grogu? Does that
Interesting. I don't.
count? You know, so those are questions that I have
Yeah.
that give him opportunity to be on set and act. I mean, otherwise, I mean, they're probably going to pay him a good chunk of change just to voice act.
I mean, I do it.
I shoot, I'd do it in a second,
Yeah. I mean, so
but I'm not Pedro Pascal, turning down other work. But voice acting is pretty simple. I mean, it's not
well, I
simple,
mean,
but it's not time consuming.
well,
You
he
can
can
do
do
a
it
whole
whenever.
season.
Yes.
Yeah, you can do a whole season of a show voice acting in the time it takes to shoot one or two episodes on set.
Exactly.
So
Exactly.
as long as it's scripted well and ready, it would be easy for him to still be the Mandalorian voice and never have to step on set ever.
Now, wasn't I? I don't know if I was making. I don't know if I was. I don't know if I'm mistaken or not. But wasn't after season one? Didn't he want more FaceTime?
I
From
think
my
so.
understanding,
That's something I heard, but I don't
yeah,
know that I ever read it from him.
from him directly. Yeah. So, yeah, because that's. I mean, as an actor, I mean, you. I think part of it too. I mean, you want you want to be seen. I not hiding behind a mask, but again, it's a sweet gig. I mean, why not do it? But you get to the point where you have all these other, you have everyone giving you these opportunities and asking you to do these films and stuff.
Mm.
But, maybe time becomes more consuming where you can't do voiceovers. I don't know. But I would hate for him to leave. I really
I would
associate
too.
him I associate him as the Mandalorian. I have no problem with him having more FaceTime. I was kind of hoping that eventually he'd be allowed to do that, but he is so loyal you know, to his guild.
Yeah.
He's
So I just found something. Apparently, this is from, this is from 2 years ago. So this is
okay.
old news. But apparently, there was a UK interview. And even at that time, they were talking about he was complaining. But in an interview, he said that's not true. Uh,
Yeah.
that it's not true that he was wanting more FaceTime. That he likes the idea of how they're doing it. So, but like I said, that was over 2 years old.
That's true.
So that
Well, it
could have
seems about
changed.
yeah. Yeah. Well, anyway, I hope he continues. I do think he makes a good Mandalorian. I definitely like him as the Mandalorian. Uh, it's incredible. But who's ever suited up as him now is. Let me go back. Is someone else suited up?
Yes, yeah, that
I thought
is.
so
Let's see. I knew who it
because I read
was.
that there
I
was
can't
somebody else
remember.
suited up.
No, there was a specific at one time on IMDb there was a specific stuntman actor who was listed. Oh, here it is. Lateef Crowder. I'm not familiar with him, but he's a stuntman actor, and he is credited as the Mandalorian in season 3,
Okay.
and I'm pretty sure it's the same guy that's been doing it the whole time.
It's pretty amazing. You have to be a good actor when you watch somebody with a mask on and you can almost feel their expression.
Yeah.
I mean, that's so yeah, so that's pretty amazing throughout this
Well,
whole
and he
thing.
and if you do have someone without the mask, at times you have to learn their mannerisms to be able to play the part so that it doesn't feel disjointed.
Yeah, that makes sense. But yeah. Well, I don't have honestly I don't have anything else. I'm really psyched about Ahsoka. I love the Clone Wars series. Ahsoka is one of my favorite characters, so I look forward to seeing that.
Mm.
Um, I think that's coming. I don't know what the date is. I know the date is out.
I think it's
I don't know.
August.
I think it's
I
August.
don't know that
Yes.
it's a firm full date. I think it just said August last time I
Gotcha.
looked.
Gotcha.
August 2023 is
Okay.
is what I'm seeing. There's not a firm
Not a firm
there's
date
not a
on that.
firm day yet.
Okay.
So, don't be surprised if it moves just a little bit,
Okay.
one way or the other. But
One way or the other. Well,
yeah,
I
right
think
now
we,
it's August.
yeah. Well, I don't have anything. I don't have anything else to milk. I don't know
I
if
don't
you do.
either.
I think we've milked this cow dry, and I, if out there, folks, if you're interested, and please do check out speakingnerdy.com. We also YouTube/speaking nerdy. You go to speakingnerdy.com, you'll see our podcast audio, the video, the whole bit, and we're on any platform that you care to be on. So, any last words, my friend?
Um, I don't have anything else. I'm looking forward to Ahsoka.
Okay, me too.
Let's do it.
Let's do it.
Podcast with your host, Mr. Mike Schilling.
And my good friend, Mr. Ricky Poe. So what I don't understand is, so if money don't grow on trees, okay, then why does banks have branches?